Hi everybody, if you're here already, we just got this thing going, so we'll wait a second for people to start filtering in. I think it's going to be fun today. Don't have anybody here yet.
It definitely saved it, right? It definitely is public.
There we have 3 people.
Okay.
Hi everybody. Hi Jonathan, how are you? And Chuck? How's everybody's day? Or morning, I suppose. Morning for us-ish. Oh, we have 44 people. Holy cow.
Wow.
Hello from France. Hi. Hi. Yay. Jean-Claude. How awesome is that? Wow. Hi, everybody. So we're trying something a little bit different today. We usually have like this kind of fancy-dancy setup where we use our big camera and we go through a software program on the laptop and everything. And that has been an absolute kerfuffle every time we've tried to do it, last 3 or 4 times. So we are just trying Heidi's cell phone actually, and the picture for us looks really good. So and sounds like, yep, Heidi's just checking the audio. Yeah, that works great. All right. Let us know if you can hear it or if you have any issues, any problems with the video or the audio at all. Just let us know.
Yeah, and yeah, we wanted to have the words on the computer so that we could obviously see who's asking questions and stuff like that.
Right. So I think we have it all set up though.
Right.
Yeah, looks like the chats are coming through. Yay. How fun is that? Okay, great. Yay. Picture looks great. Oh, good. Video and sound are good. Oh, sound is perfect.
Thank you. We usually ask that question next, so thanks.
I know that's the thing. It's like when we try to set it up with a fancy dancy camera and then we have to have microphones and this and that. It's all just such a mess.
And I think the cameras and the phones are probably, it may not be 4K, but
no,
at least
1080p. Yeah, they're super good.
So better than the laptop. I think the laptop is like a 720.
It is. So that's the other problem. Yeah, why don't you use your laptop? Well, because the laptop's not as good a resolution. So I think this is actually working pretty well.
We have an older laptop.
And we're in the garage, obviously, with the cars behind us. It's been cold. The weather here has been, like it's been in a lot of the country here. I know Texas got hammered and everything.
Right.
We were pretty cold too. We're actually colder in Texas, but we're used to that kind of cold. But we
were below 0 for a few days.
Yeah, we were for like an extended roll of several days actually.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I couldn't get much done. And this is one of the reasons we're doing the live stream. Thought it'd be fun to just sort of check in, do a live stream with everyone. But also, it's just the weather's not been conducive to getting out and getting the car going and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
Right.
In fact, we have we've been setting an appointment with a shop to take Shamu down to get the CO measured on it so we can get it.
Right,
get the
we've had to
tune.
delay it. I think I've called them twice now. So yeah, it was supposed to be last Thursday, and then this Thursday it's gonna snow.
So on Wednesday.
And then who knows? We've set it up for the week after that, and we'll see.
Kind of is what it is, I guess.
One day at a time. Right, exactly.
Guten Abend from Germany.
Yay! So we have some people on from Europe because we're doing this a little bit earlier. And unfortunately, we had somebody that wanted to join us from China, and it's like 2 a.m. So we'll definitely still try to do different times for different people in different time zones. So
all right. So we're getting some questions. Do you want to go through the questions that were submitted first?
We promised some people, if they weren't able to make it. So we're going to go through those first, and then yes, we will definitely ask or let you guys ask some questions. So hold your questions for a few minutes and then we will we'll
get right back to them.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. So Hugh Morgan asks, how challenging is working on the 3.2 compared to the other air-cooled models? It's a very good question. And that goes backwards and forwards because the 3.2 is sort of in the middle-ish. Specifically, if you did the same rash on a 993 3.6 liter would it be easier or harder, expensive or less expensive? So I'm going to handle the hardness bit, and Heidi's going to handle the finance bit. All right. So the 3.2 Carrera is kind of, in a sense, I think it's always the sweet spot of those air-cooled cars. They're really bulletproof. They run great. They're pretty easy to work on still. They don't have the carburetors, but they do have a pretty good fuel injection system when it's sorted, as we all know that it's been a little bit of a thing. So moving up to the 993, 964, and 993, you can't get your arm behind the engine or forward of the engine, I suppose, on a 993. It is super duper tight in there. And moving around in there. So another issue is the HVAC system is controlled by the vacuum system on the car as well. So you'd have more things to take off. It's a little more difficult to get to the bits you have to take off. And the engine just feels like either the engine bay is smaller and the engine is bigger, or some combination of that, but it just feels so tight in there. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay, but so the engine out of the 3.2 Carrera was kind of a bear. We had to get some other people to help us take it out and put it back in.
Yep.
So the 993, I would imagine, would be even more.
It'd be the same. I think it'd basically be the same. You're still going to drop it out the bottom. You're still going to, disconnect everything, raise it up, disconnect the mounts, drop it down, raise the car over the engine, pull the engine out. So the process is pretty much the same. I think it's just a bit tighter and there'd be more things to take off.
Right.
If we go backwards in time, the older engines, boy, when you get back into like the late 60s, and those engines can come out almost like a Beetle engine or a 356 engine.
Well, they're lighter too.
Yeah, and they're lighter and just a lot easier to get out. So for that question, so tell us about the finances.
The second part of that, and in all fairness, we have not really had to touch much on our 993. So there's a couple of things about the 993 is that it's a newer car. It's 9 years newer, and the accessibility of parts is going to be a bit easier to find them. Maybe not in every case, but you could still get a hold of them versus some of the 3.2 Carrera stuff is harder to source. And when stuff is harder to source, you could end up on eBay, like looking at the forums, trying to figure it out. So for example, the fuel lines that we had to get from Len, they don't even make those parts anymore. And I think, I don't know about the, excuse me, about the 993, but I would imagine that because it is a newer car, you probably could still, it's a popular car too, could get those parts. And so, and yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah, so here's another example is, remember our bypass valve here, this guy here. So this is the original, so it's actually got the Bosch sticker on the bottom of it. And sourcing this thing, I think they were
like 500.
You see old posts of them. Oh, it's like $50, $70 or something like that. And now the stupid thing's north of 300, 400, 450 if you can find them. So this is kind of what you're talking about. Is stuff like this.
Well, and the fuel lines.
And the fuel lines.
Right.
And stuff
they
like
don't
that.
even make those anymore. Whereas, so that's why we got Len involved.
Right. And on the 993, we had a little roller that went bad that tells you if the fan belt is broken. That's all it does. It just rides on the fan belt. It's just a little sensor. And I was able to find that for $4 or $5. It really wasn't bad at all.
Right. So, I mean, I would say because the 993 is newer now, it's got 9 years on the car. I mean, if it was the same age and if the parts weren't available, more than likely, I mean, there's more stuff for the 993. So for example, you have to deal with 2 different fuel filters and things like that. Then possibly it could be a little bit more if we were comparing apples to apples, but we're not.
Yeah.
So,
Two different oil filters. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So the engine's a little more complicated.
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of an interesting question. The older cars are just more simple, but the parts aren't available. Those carburetors on the old ones, those 3-barrel carburetors that go on each side, they're rare in hen's teeth and worth a huge amount of dough.
And this is why the 70s 911s have become so crazy as well. It's that parts for those cars are worse.
All right.
356s. Same
Okay.
thing.
Well,
yep. So anyway, we're gonna move on.
Okay.
Next question.
So from Chris Lee from our Facebook page, asked if I was a professor.
What a compliment.
That's very sweet. But
right.
no, I'm not a professor or teacher in any
No,
way.
she does do a good job explaining, and it's one of the reasons. A lot of times we'd have these Sunday morning discussions, and honestly, they could go on for 2 or 3 hours, sometimes 5 hours. When Franny was talking to me about electric cars one time, I think it was a 5-hour discussion, and I just said, it would be really nice if you could share some of this knowledge and information. And, Franny likes to work on cars. And so that's how the whole YouTube channel started out. But yeah, no, she's not a instructor other than what she's doing on YouTube.
Yeah. So,
right.
Okay, so that's that one.
Yep.
Vanity Rose from our YouTube channel wants a sneak peek of the 356. So yeah, Ava is up here.
Oh, you're gonna.
I can sort of do this a little bit. I'm just going to kind of move the camera up a little bit. So there's Ava sitting right above us.
Right. Yeah.
And she's just hanging out. You can see she's got that little wire coming out of underneath her bonnet there. All the cars up here are on tenders
right now. Yeah. Because with COVID, like we haven't been going anywhere. We've been getting groceries delivered. It's going to be several months before Franny and I are eligible to get a shot. So yeah, there's no need to go anywhere,
and no car shows or anything.
No,
so Ava needs
kind of stuck, and
Ava needs some work as well.
Right,
so,
right.
But she's drivable. She's just. I want to get the brakes and the steering sorted on that car before
it's weird to have a car channel and then not go anywhere.
I know, not go anywhere.
So, and honestly, COVID as the COVID-19 stuff has just made things weird,
and it's winter.
We'll almost get past that soon enough. Yep.
All right. So what's our last one so Griffin Price from Instagram asks what our next projects are going to be.
Good question.
Great question.
Right. We
love where your head is.
We have a whole whiteboard, which it's down and put away, but we literally have a whiteboard of what episodes are coming up, and we definitely have quite a few.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff. So after we get done with the 3.2 Carrera, so we still have a bit more to go on that. We have the interior, which the carpet should be here like any day,
they've told me that they were getting ready to ship it the other day, so that's really good news. We will be able to get the carpet, the door cards. You guys have seen the car without the door cards in,
it's a mess.
And we'll get the actual redone seat. So Franny's been driving around in a spare seat that we have, and that's something too that if any of you are working on a project and need 3.2 Carrera seats, these are 1986. They work for other years as well. Let us know, because we'll probably be selling this set of seats that are, as Franny sat in them, are better shape than our other ones were.
Yeah, they are. They're
more comfortable. The padding,
softer. Yeah, exactly. The
padding was better. So you probably still want to get new seat covers or getting matching seat covers, whatever you're doing. But yeah, definitely.
So anyway, so we'll get done fairly quickly with the 3.2. I think I want to do some detailing. Probably. Oh, I've got an episode coming up for you guys where I'm going to do some diagnostic work and stuff. I've been this whole thing about what was wrong with the car. Was it the coil? Was it the mass airflow sensor? Was it this? What's it that? And then adjusting the idle, screw to change the that none of this sits well with me. Actually, I know it doesn't sit well with any of you either, but it doesn't sit well with me. And so check this out, real quick, like a bunny. Have you guys seen one of these guys? Oh, it's backwards. So that says Pico on it. Oh, right. So yeah, I use cameras and mirror image. It's weird. Anyway, so this is called a Pico scope, and they're not expensive. This is a Series 2000 scope. They're like $100, and they're 2-channel, and you can do an awful lot with an oscilloscope, and you use your laptop as the display on it, so you get this huge screen. Now I'll go through all this.
Professor Franny.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'll go through all this in an upcoming episode, but I was incredibly intimidated about using a scope until somebody said, you know what a scope is? It's nothing more than a voltmeter. All it does is measure voltage, but it measures it across time. And I'm like, Oh, that's all it does. It seems like like they're magic. I have a like a Tektronix scope downstairs that I use for my stereo stuff, and it's got this, the blue screen on it and a gazillion buttons all over it. It just seemed too crazy. But I think the Pico is going to be fun. So we've got that coming up.
We do.
Yeah.
And then I have been working for days and days and days on getting the cost of our whole project together. So there's a lot. I want to kind of condense what we did before we started our YouTube channel, just to kind of briefly go over that. And then, I mean, I kind of know the general costs of things, but I like to break it out by category, stuff like that. So that'll be in a few weeks.
Yeah, that'll be
great. It's gonna take me a few more weeks to get through all the.
It wasn't super cheap.
So, no, it was not. And this is the sad thing about restoring the cars, is that a lot of times it goes well over the price of if you just got one in a decent condition like our 993. So
it can be awfully expensive. Right. So you have to decide whether it's worth it for you.
Yeah. And we still have to get an appraisal done on it once it's really it's running again. So any day now, actually. Yeah. we get that once we get the car interior and stuff done. Right,
we got to get the car finished.
Cool.
All right. So then after that, we move on to the Ferrari, which is right up here. That one up there. So we're going to be doing suspension work on it. Might check the brakes. I think the brakes are fine, but we'll do full suspension work on it. Some interior work. Some exterior bodywork stuff that we want to get done on it. But the car has a really interesting history to it, so we'll go through all that again. And we did do an episode on it a long time ago, but I just want to kind of revisit it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So there's that. And then we have work to do on Ava, I just mentioned. We've got brakes to do on the 993, and Heidi's turbo needs some stuff as well. We spark plugs at some point too.
Ava is actually, so we actually have had a few people asking recently about 356 content. The 356 content is slated for this year, but it probably won't be until a little bit later in the year after the Ferrari stuff. But it could be in between. We may have some downtime. I see other car channels doing this where they have to wait on something getting done, and so we could start working on the 356 interstitially.
Let us know about that. Let us know, give some comments. What do you guys think about because all the channels have this issue that they're working on a big project, but then they've got something where it kind of stalls for a little bit. They don't want to
lose their momentum.
Right. And so they'll throw other things in just to throw out some content.
Right.
Let us know if that is jarring, annoying to you, or if
we want to give you something. And like the 996, for example, we have to get some coil packs and do that. And that would be maybe one.
That'd be a great way.
One episode. One segue episode. Same with maybe we have 993. We have some stuff for them.
We have several things for 993.
So we could do that and not have it as vloggy, one episode after the next. So I find it jarring when I like it being focused, but we do have that same problem that everybody else does, where you kind of get into a problem like right now today, cold weather, and terrible, we still want to stay focused on our 911 and get this project finished up.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, there are some questions coming here,
asked if the garage is heated. It is.
It is. We have a big heater. We a few years ago put in some electrical, and now it's much better.
Yeah.
But we are going to Franny and I are going to be, maybe more Franny than me, but going to be installing a ceiling fan to help
move the air around,
because it gets all stuck up at the top.
Such high ceilings. So I was working on the car on the lift, and I was up there poking around in the back, and it was hot. I was sweating. Right. Came down here, it was like 50 degrees. So the ceiling fan is hopefully to get the air mixed around a little bit.
Okay, so we have Jonathan, Chuck, Jean-Claude. We have lots of people here. Rick, Andre, another Jonathan, and Stefan, Pierre, Tariq, I think that's how you say your name. James, Morgan, another John, Owen, Lying Eyes, James, Caroline, Art, Webbook. Yeah, we have lots of people from all over the world, so this is great. We've had people from France, from Canada, the Netherlands, Germany. Yeah, there's definitely, people from all over the world, which is great.
Yep.
Really happy to have you guys join us. We have Mike and Chuck and
Holy cow.
Chris, another Chris, and Francesco.
Yep.
Andreas.
Ciao
Ulf.
from Italy. Yay.
Yeah,
That's
I
so
like
cool.
the name Ulf, and I can say that hopefully the correct way. I had my roommate from college was from Norway, not too far from you. You're in Sweden, and that was his name. So I actually learned a tiny bit of Norwegian from him. Probably more likely words that I don't want to repeat. So anyway, Carl and Enzo and Winston and Hevog.
Oh, and Pat from Pat's
Munich?
Garage
Yeah.
Online. Pat's on.
Oh, Pat.
And
Hi, Pat.
look, Ryan and
Sophie.
Hi, Ryan and Sophie.
Speaking of Sweden, although you're not in Sweden right now.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
gosh.
we have a couple other YouTubers on. It's always nice to have other YouTubers on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we have Michael and Tolga and Vanity Rose and Roy. Wow, lots of you guys on here. The One Beard, Israel. I'm just running through. I actually want to be careful because I'm passing up some questions.
Yeah, let's get to some questions.
Yeah,
Say
definitely.
hi to everyone. Yay.
Right. Yeah. So somebody asked, how is the Beck? So maybe you want to explain that that's
Oh yeah. So the Beck is a friend's car. It's not ours.
Right.
And so I don't think the car has actually moved. Last time I talked to the owner on the car, he has it sort of sideways tucked in the back of his garage on like little rolly wheels. So I don't think he's driven it much, and certainly not the weather for it now. But I imagine this spring.
Oh, he wants us to work on his 356.
Yeah, he's got a little work to do on his 356. So
right.
So we'll have to get. Well, I'll have to get back in touch with him when we got a minute.
Good weather.
The weather's terrible.
We have to put one of our cars out in the driveway or find a better home for it. Yeah. So it doesn't always, it's not always best.
So I think it's doing fine, although it's just sort of being pickled, I think, at this point.
Right. So somebody asks, Chuck asks, so was there a root problem with the bad fuel injector and then compensated by adjusting idle and then leading to idle issues?
Yeah. Great question. I have sort of in between on a day where I could actually work inside the garage. I did do a smoke test on the car, and none of the intake at all was leaking. So I think all that's airtight. We did have the bad injectors. I definitely think it was cranked up for a previous problem, and I think the car's always had a high idle. So
we don't have the answers quite yet.
Yeah, we're not quite 100% there. So
that's what the testing's for, right?
Yeah, so the testing with the scope is going to be big. I want to test the coil, the old coil, and a bunch of other stuff. But I think also see how far off the CO is. That's going to be a big deal. So if the output gases are way off on the car, I think that'll also signify that, yes, that's one of the reasons. I don't know. Well, we'll see. And I'll have the guys. So the guys down at Store's Garage, they're the people who did the transmission on the car, rebuilt the transmission. I'm going to have them take a look at it. They're one of these shops, it's been around for 35, 40 years or whatever, and it looks like it inside. They've got stuff everywhere. But they know these cars like the back of their hand. So I'm going to grill them, and I want them to go over it and just make sure that I didn't miss anything. So that's what's going on with that.
So the One Beard asks, why use a battery tender when you could just disconnect to negative from the battery?
No, that's actually a really good question, because the battery tender can cycle the battery a little bit as well. It sort of charges it and lets it fall off a little bit, trickles it, and then brings it back and gives the battery a little bit of movement. If the battery just sits there disconnected, it will discharge over time. And if it discharges too much, that could be a real problem. These batteries, especially these lead acid batteries, don't like going down too awfully far at all before they get charged back up again. They're really more about delivering current than capacity, if that makes any sense at all. So we like to keep them on the tenders, then I don't have to worry about it. We also have the little scooters over here as well. We have a couple of Vespa scooters, and they're on tenders as well. And I found that, especially with the scooter batteries,
Yeah.
boy, you disconnect
Somebody-
them and they're dead in a year.
John Blunt asked, do you run each of your cars on rotation to keep them alive?
We try to.
Right. It's been a
we
really
used
weird
to.
year. It's been very weird.
Right. But the thing about Colorado is they used to just throw gravel down. So they would
Right.
throw mostly gravel, a little bit of salt in the intersections, but mostly gravel. And then they would have a street sweeper come by and clean it up on dry days. And that caused that big brown cloud that Denver's so famous for.
Actually, still has it, but
It still has it a bit because they still do use a bit of gravel, but they've been using a lot more salt.
Pollution. More people moving here.
But so they're spraying with, like, instead of granular salt, they're spraying with like liquid. So it's just salt water really. And you'll see it on the roads. The roads will just all be white.
Right.
And the tires will pick that up.
The cars
and throw
just
it.
shudder when they see
Yeah, and so I can go up and
Right.
down our street because we don't get any of that. But once you get out on the main streets, it's all over. And so
Right.
I'm like, I just don't want the 356 and some of the other cars. Now the i8's fine, of course.
The newer ones.
Even the 993 and the
That's
996 are
true, yeah.
fine. But for the ones on the top of the lifts up there, the older cars, not so much.
So, any chance that there'll be a Volkswagen Beetle engine rebuild?
Yep. I think that engine needs to come out of Lemon Drop.
Oh, Jerry's?
Yeah, I think it does. It's when he
Yeah,
brought it
so
in
that-
last time, he said, there's a lot of oil leaks, and I'm like, there really shouldn't be that many oil leaks.
Poor Jerry, though. He loves that car, and so every time he gets it here, though, it's here for like 2 months.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
and he drives it quite a bit.
Yeah,
So
he does.
I don't know. We were thinking about at some point in the future pulling the engine on the 356
Right.
and
Well,
dealing
definitely.
with some oil leaks on that car as well.
Right.
And just sort of prettying it up a little bit. It looks great in the engine bay, but when you kind of have it out, it's a little oily and gooey underneath. Transmission would need to be rebuilt as well, which wouldn't be bad. So we have some stuff in the future we've been thinking about.
So somebody asks,
Yes.
I think Remco asks, how did you get all those cars? One at a time.
This is actually a really good question.
Right,
Yeah, one at a
right.
time. And that's a really important point because
Right.
people take a look at the garage and think we just went on a buying spree last week.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Well, and a lot has changed with YouTube too. So the car channels do become this sort of big acquisition channel, and the sad thing about that is that there's a lot of cars that just sit there and they don't get to them. So I would actually rather finish what we started. And unfortunately, we really still have a lot more work to do on the cars that we have. And maybe at some point we will, end up buying another car. But we started one at a time.
Mhm.
We
Years and years ago.
for a very long time we had one car, and we had a newer Volkswagen Beetle that the two of us shared. And then at some point, it just became a little bit too inconvenient, and so we decided to get a second newer Volkswagen Beetle, and we got a kind of old, crappier first model year one that wasn't in very good shape, and it was kind of frustrating. I think we didn't have that for very long.
But as far as the cars in the garage, though,
Right.
they were kind of bought as sort of as toys, really, but there's enough space in between
Right.
them that we can handle it financially, and so these cars
Well,
span many years.
The 356 was really our first fun car that wasn't a daily driver.
Right.
And once Franny got the Porsche bug, then she actually was like, I want to get rid of my Volkswagen Beetle, her newer one that she had had for 7 years, for a Boxster. And
Yeah.
that's where the Boxster came in. And you guys haven't seen the Boxster because we actually sold it before we started the channel, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, it got into an
Yeah.
accident. It's very sad. It got sideswiped and kind of messed up, and ended up selling it to
It's
a guy
actually
at work.
still
And-
with him. I mean, he's fine with
And
it.
so I'm hoping that we can get it back on the channel. And
At
I
some
said,
point, yeah.
because he had always wanted that car, but he's like, but I had to
We
go to work
told
one
him when
day and
it got in
say,
a car accident and it had been
"Oh,
fixed, but
car accident. And he's
so
like,
we
really?
cut him a deal, obviously,
Yeah.
for the accident.
And so
yeah.
full disclosure on everything. But
Yep.
he loves it, and he still drives it and
Right.
really enjoys it. And it's a great car. So
Right. So, honestly, but most of the cars that we got were right around, I mean, honestly, $20,000. They weren't, 60 or 80 or 100. None of them
except for
were.
maybe one of them. But
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, that was a while ago, one at a time. Yeah,
yeah.
I think the i8's been the most expensive
Yeah.
car we've ever purchased. But yeah, so one at a time. Is
Yeah.
what what we
Over
did.
a long
try
period
to
of
try to
time.
pay them off
Yeah.
before we get the next one, and you don't like to have 10 or different car payments.
Oh, we have Tedward in the chat.
Tedward.
Oh,
Hey, Tedward. We got a lot of channels that, on this morning. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
So let's keep going through the comments.
Right.
What do we got?
I see a lot of people from San Diego and from somebody is on from Spokane. My family has deep roots in Spokane. I've got like people buried in graveyards in Spokane. Yeah, right, exactly. Family history in Spokane.
Brazil. Look at that.
Brazil, right.
Yuri from Brazil. Holy cow.
Stockholm. Right.
Wow.
So the Coil, is it finally okay?
So so I'm going to test that. I'm going to use the scope to test it on the car and see how it's doing. I'm going to A/B it between the new Coil and the old Coil. I don't know. Jury's out on that. We'll see.
Somebody asked, hello from Poland. Any experience with a Lotus?
So our friend Doug has had a Lotus.
Right.
He had an Elise, and
Doug hasn't been on for a while, but you guys might remember him. He has that Noble now. Yeah.
And he helped us get the engine out of the car.
He did. He helped us drop out the engine.
Anyway, so yeah, he has a Noble now, but he had an Elise, and really interesting car, a lot of fun. He also put a supercharger on it, and it was pretty peppy little thing. They're interesting. They're really small. My only thing about the Lotus is that they have a tendency to sort of fugoid a bit. They'll sort of bounce on if the roads are kind of, I don't know if they're not perfect. It's a little short coupled, that thing. So it kind of feels like it. But they always say that minis feel like go-karts.
Right.
A Lotus feels like a go-kart to me.
Right.
So yeah, I think so.
So Ryan and Sophie and Tedward and Pat, anybody that's in there's comments coming through to you guys as well.
Yep.
People are saying hello, so they all get excited about seeing other people on the chat. So
what do we got?
I don't know. We it looks like we have no more questions at the moment.
We have some.
Okay.
Here's one.
We do.
Heidi Franny. This is Israel says I have a 58 356, last of the pushrod, single carb. Was looking to do some performance things on something that you do as far as taking on engine projects. Is that something we do? Not so. I'm not really big into performance-y stuff. I'm more tend to push a car back to its original state.
Right. We're not into mods, I guess.
Well, here's kind of
maybe a bit like the seatbelts.
That's fine.
Right.
But here's my general philosophy on older cars and trying to make them faster is that it's probably just a lot better just to buy a newer car. Taking an old car like a 356, for instance, and putting an enormous amount of power in it and turning it into an outlaw means you now have to redo your suspension, your brakes, and your steering, because it's always stop, turn, go in that order. So now you've got a car that's, I guess, a bit of a sleeper, but now can the chassis handle it as well? Is it going to flex and stuff? And there's all these questions. And adding a little more power to it is always great and fun, but going nuts with it, I don't know, turns it into something that it really never was intended to be. So it's better to get a faster car.
Right. We had a Boxster performance tune, for example.
That something was like that. Mm-hmm.
A software modification, and there was a lot of safety things that were when it was spec'd for the US that they put on it. So
emissions.
And so maybe something like that we would consider doing, but especially when it comes to German engineering, this is the one thing I love about Germans is they're so precise about everything. And so I think Franny and I sometimes question, how something will handle if you, put in larger turbos. Like we have some friends that have, taken their already turbo or turbo S Porsches and put in even bigger turbos. And you're taking on a safety risk. At least, I mean, I'm a big safety girl, and so yeah, to me,
and a maintenance issue,
right?
You're going to put more pressure on the transmission, the drivetrain. You're going to burn up tires.
We have a good friend that rebuilds Subaru transmissions because of all the mods out there, and he makes a very
he's quite fancy, actually.
Does very well with it because he's there's a lot of modifications out there. Okay.
So somebody asked what I think. What do we think of the Radarosa's 512 BBI project? That is
envious for one. Very, very envious.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure that most other car YouTubers are just like, oh, you're so lucky. Yeah, we're totally jealous.
He has a bit of work ahead of him on that engine, getting that done. It's a Ferrari, so it's not going to be cheap. He knows
it's an older Ferrari,
what he's getting into.
Back to the sourcing parts stuff, which is we've had issues with our 308 trying to source parts, and we actually still have some issues that you'll be seeing in upcoming episodes about sourcing things. So the grill, for example. Yeah.
But I think it's a wonderful project, and I think he's going to have a heck of a car when he gets done with it.
Yeah, I'm very excited for him and still very jealous.
Yeah.
Right.
He's been great, and we've talked, and we actually even did a little chat back and forth with him.
Yep.
Scott's just been wonderful, and I know I wear his sweatshirt a lot on the show.
Right.
Because it's a wonderful sweatshirt
to us.
But he is a little bit of a mentor as well.
Right.
And he's been great. So Scott, I love his channel, and it's just great fun. So can't wait to see that get done.
Somebody's laughing at your comment about a bit of work.
Oh. Can you talk a little more about some of the upcoming projects for the 308? So we did a little bit.
Right.
So the engine on the 308 has been done. I think it's fine. Although I do have a small oil leak, I think, on the oil cooler, which I need to address that. But the interior, we want to get some stuff done on the interior. But the most important thing is going to be the suspension. It's original. And I think bushings were replaced either in the rear at one point, but not in the front. So all of that, plus the springs, and then it has Coney shocks on it, which we'll have to send out and get them rebuilt. We have questions about the ride height, whether we go with the original springs, all sorts of stuff. But all of that needs to come off the car because the ride on that car is pretty good, but it's a little bangy, and I don't think it should be. I think it should be a little more, I don't know, it should feel a little warmer. And I think it just needs the shocks done. So
probably, yeah.
That all four corners and all the bushings and all that, and then
we have some electrical stuff to be working through as well with fog lights and all sorts of stuff. So somebody said from Paris, did you know that in the 1920s they had car fixing contests? The judges would put two identical cars and make the same thing go wrong in both and see who would fix it first.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like fun, actually.
Do that now. This is the 1920s, so we need to do that in the 2020s.
Yeah, we do.
I think they do something. Franny and I have never been to SEMA. It's one of the events. I don't know if they're doing it this year. They canceled it last year, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there are some YouTubers that do car stuff that. I think teams that do something. I mean, I haven't been, so I'm a bad.
This or do that.
I've seen them put together some stuff, but
a diagnosis thing would be great, and then I think that would be just brilliant to watch.
I'd be on the sidelines watching Franny, but it would be
going
fun.
at it simultaneously. And what are their tool choices? What is their diagnostic process choices? Because you'd have to limit it. You can't just allow them to just swap out a zillion parts. They're going to have to figure out what's going on. That would be super fun, actually. It'd be really
Franny
cool.
Would love that.
That'd be fun. I'm up for that.
Right. Greetings from Texas. Alan, Richie's Garage. Which is your favorite car and which one do you use the most? Favorite car versus use the most are very different.
Yeah.
I would say.
So the cars that get used the most would be the Turbo and the i8.
Right. So the I like to drive to, if I'm going to a grocery store or someplace not too far away, and a place where generally I know that I'm not going to have any kind of issues with parking. Not that parking is a problem with those cars, but I always like to try to be by an island or
Yeah, so
something.
you can open the door.
Yeah.
Any issues.
The turbo is more for if I know that parking could be a headache, or if I know that door dings, or I mean, they're
Isn't that
both really
funny?
good
Yeah.
in good shape, but
the turbo is the one that you want to throw in harm's way. I think that's hilarious.
I know
It's just funny.
I brought that turbo once to the grocery store, and I think the most some car that just was rusted out and you know, pretty much falling apart, pulled up right next to it, and the guy was literally, when I came out, taking photos, and he said, I just never thought I'd be parked next to a car like this at the grocery store. I was like, okay. So he was taking a photo of it.
Well, and you have to also consider like the 356, I would say, and the 308 are kind of A to A cars.
They're more like car show cars.
Yeah, and I mean, you can go to we'll take them like to Golden, for instance, and go to lunch or dinner or something like that.
Right.
If we can park on the street, and people are pretty careful there.
Right.
And you're parallel parked is another thing, so that's
Right.
kind of nice. But as far, you wouldn't want to leave those cars overnight anywhere. No.
Neither one. In fact, that's what happened to our Ferrari before we bought it, is that somebody took it on a road trip down to Santa Fe or Albuquerque or somewhere in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they lost the grill. So we don't have the original grill in the car.
Right.
And
all
then
the
badges were removed.
Oh,
So
what a
the
mess.
poor car was molested.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's something to consider if you're, you know, some of these, you know, at least red. I mean, you go to a gas station with a Ferrari and just the redness of the car.
Yeah, it's
will
pretty red.
Get
So
attention. Just
it's pretty red in the funny way
Right.
sports cars are red. So yeah, it gets a bit of attention. So that's another consideration. But as far as like the 993,
But do we have
I
a
figured that.
favorite? I mean, it's really hard. We love all of our
Oh
cars.
gosh.
Like if we talk about selling them to get another project car, we can't part with them.
And I don't know we can say it.
They all have
They might get
different.
jealous.
They all, you know, check different boxes.
Yeah,
And
they
we
do.
have like the
They're all very
antique
different.
car, the classic cars, the
Yeah.
um
The sort of modern, kind of
Supercars.
interesting, kind of carbon fibery
Right.
thing, and yeah.
all right, back to this.
Yes.
COVID canceled a lot of shows and swap meets. Yeah, COVID's
Oh.
been a bummer.
Somebody mentioned,
Yeah.
Darcy mentioned, or no, it's not Darcy. Darcy mentioned the COVID thing.
Yeah.
Somebody said Sam Crack eventually found
Sorry.
an answer to his i8. Yeah, he did. So I did a couple of quick episodes, and in fact, why don't I sort of explain a little bit what was going on with that? So I was talking to Sam behind the scenes for a couple of weeks leading up to all of that, and he was trying to figure out why his car was overheating. He was talking to Pat. Pat has an enormous amount of content and information on the i8, so he was talking to Pat, and I also contacted Sam, and we chatted back and forth, and it was interesting the kind of the path he was going with all of it. We were all trying to help him as best we could. And then I thought it'd be kind of fun to do, Pat had done a video on some of the technology of the i8, how it applied to Sam's problem. And I thought, you know what, that'd be kind of fun. I'd do that too. And so I did the little block test on it, which is what Sam used to find out he had a bad head gasket. And I was interesting. I don't generally do videos like that are attached to somebody else's channel or their other content. But since we own the car and I'd been working with Sam, I thought, well, that'd be kind of fun. Turned out to be very popular. It was a great place for people
Pat,
to chat.
Pat, I don't know if you're still on, but Pat did the same thing too, which is great.
And his videos
Yeah.
did really well.
They
This
did
one
very
did.
well. Yeah.
And they brought in a lot of new people to the channel. And I think that as much as I'm kind of I was a little uncomfortable with it, to be honest. But the fact that it brought in some new people to the channel, a little more oomph to things, we really got through our 30,000 subscriber, and we're really
Quickly,
close to
yeah.
40,000 at this point.
Yeah,
So-
we're like within about
Yeah.
what 60 or 70 until we hit 40,000.
right.
So yeah,
So what Sam ended up doing in the end was he got an extra thick head gasket and then had the head machined a little bit. I was really worried about his camshafts. If that head gets twisted, the camshafts will lock up
Right.
when you go to torque it back down again. but they were spinning freely. He had some other issues that he couldn't figure out where cylinder number 1 was, but when they timed it, didn't cause any damage. They got that sorted, got the engine started, and it's running really well now. So I hope he gets to enjoy it. I think I saw he had a recent video where he's taken a lot of the body work apart because it has some weird damage on it. So he's going to be working all through those problems. But it's really interesting. Those channels, Sam and also Rich Rebuilds channels, those two are really
like Sunday night entertainment
they
for
really
us while
are.
we eat our dinner. They're
Those
funny.
2 channels are crazy. They're
Right.
really good friends. They're like almost best friends, but they poke at each other
Oh,
so much.
right,
It's just
right,
hilarious,
right,
and all the
yeah.
silly stuff that they put on it. It may not be
You know
everyone's
they're
taste,
friends
but,
or they wouldn't get video from each other. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
but if you
Right,
kind of talk to
right.
the guys, you know, it's a little different perspective, and they're
I like their shtick.
it's a shtick,
Yeah, it is a
absolutely
shtick. I
a
like
shtick,
it.
and it's
Right.
entertaining, it's fun. So
You guys, we have a lot of people saying hello. CB from the UK, Owen from the UK, another one, Devil's Advocate UK, Paul, Mark, Chuck from Maryland.
Yep.
We have somebody from Tijuana, Mexico.
Oh wow!
I just saw somebody that was from Japan.
Holy cow!
So Jose and Steve. There's Steve, your boy.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
he says
see.
Utah counts as 4. Theo
Right? Yeah, kind of.
and Brian Mills, Mark
my gosh.
Rogers, Trigger 79, Jim Schmidt, Jonathan Waters. Hey, Jonathan. Michael McCormick, Seth, Yuri's from Brazil. Cool. Ronnie and Jonathan has a question.
Yeah, he has a question. So let me answer that real quick because I've gotten this question a couple of times. He says, Jonathan's asking, why do you call the 3.2 Carrera a budget Carrera? What I can tell, it's nothing budget about it.
Right.
So
yeah, not anymore. Right.
We bought that car. It's one of the first ones in the
It was
of the cars here.
most affordable one we could find.
Right. And so we
Right.
only paid, and it sounded like a lot at the time, but now it's not. We only paid 18 grand for the car.
Right.
And we bought it from eBay,
Right.
sight unseen.
Yeah,
So
it could
how
have been
stupid
a
is that?
much, well.
Yeah, it could have been crazy. Now the car was, so the description, and we did talk to the guy and spent a bunch of time on the phone with him and such, but everything he said was true. He did leave a lot out, but whenever I asked him a specific question, he was honest about it, and I really appreciated that. So when we got the car, oh my gosh, it was in an open trailer, so it was an absolute disaster.
Stupid.
It was a
Never
mess.
ever do that.
Yeah, don't do an open trailer.
Always
a mess.
pay the extra money to have a covered
Yep.
trailer, even if it's just a tarp of some sort. But
Yeah,
don't ever have a car shipped across country open.
yeah, that was dumb.
That was just not.
And then there were so many things,
Yeah.
little niggly things that were wrong with it. And
Oh, I remember
lots of-
driving it, and the windshield is just filthy because of the open trailer, and he didn't want to bring the semi down our cul-de-sac. And Franny wasn't home, and I was bringing it home, and it was
the heater
fans
yeah, the heater
going
fans
and
were just
just-
wheeling,
it was just-
and there just it
and
was
I
a
was
mess.
thinking, what did we just do?
Right. So
Right.
it is kind
Right.
of budget, but it had good
Right.
bones. It doesn't have any structural rust of any kind on it. The paint is.
No,
it's
we've
okay.
actually had we had one guy come over and spend a couple hours here. We were really considering having it repainted, and he was honest. He's like, you don't really need to
I wouldn't bother.
paint it.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, as much as time as it's spent outside, I was surprised that there's maybe only one area that maybe had an accident at some point, or
Yeah, there's
not
some
sure.
respray on the
Right.
car and stuff. So it's certainly not a show car in any way. It'll never be a concourse level car. But so it was probably the dirtiest and most ragged out of all the cars that we bought.
right.
I don't know, Ava maybe is a
Right.
close second.
So that's
um,
where the budget came from.
So
yeah.
that's why we call it kind of a budget car.
Yeah,
And
that's budget. Yeah.
and it's it's also kind of a YouTube thing too.
Right.
So we'll try to generate a little bit of interest because
Right.
I don't know.
But there isn't anything budget about it. You're right.
It was when we got it. It was
Right.
a mess, but it's getting much better.
So W2GE, where did you get your training?
Well,
it's a complicated question.
it is a complicated. So as far as car training goes, I really don't have any formal training of any kind in the automotive world. I read through manuals. I had cars that broke down a lot, and you kind of learn by doing. And so that's that. But I do have a degree in engineering, aerospace from the University of Florida, and that kind of, you know what engineering helps you really with more than anything else is a couple of things. One, working in groups. You probably wouldn't have thought that, but it's engineers work in groups, and it really teaches you how to work well in groups.
Imagine it.
And that's huge.
Doing the NASA thing right now.
With Perseverance on Mars and all that. I mean,
huge
a number of people to get together for these projects. Oh my God. So
yeah.
It's totally crazy.
And Franny did work in the aerospace engineer, as an engineer at Martin.
Yep, I did. Well, it was Martin Marietta back then. It's Lockheed Martin now. But I worked on
caught up in the whole,
Yeah, there were a lot of layoffs and stuff. But I worked on Boeing's. Boeing had a transfer orbit vehicle that they used to put payloads into high orbit and interplanetary, and we validated their software. So
Franny is very passionate about airplanes.
Yeah, I love airplanes,
space travel, and all sorts of stuff. So if you're wondering what Franny's interests are besides cars, so she's always interested, and so yeah.
But the other thing about engineering is it teaches you to be analytical. There's a ton of math, and it kind of teaches you. I love this, that there's a reason for problems, and there's a root cause why something isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. So if you believe that the 3.2 Carrera was designed and built and sold as a good running car, then there should be a way to get it back to that. So if you've got an idle that's doing like ours was going crazy and all sorts of weird stuff going on, or a bad bump in the suspension, you have to kind of assume that it didn't leave the factory that way and that it's possible to get it back. And engineering kind of teaches that mindset, I think, which is also a really big point. Right. So I wouldn't say engineering directly works for mechanical stuff like working on cars. You might think it would on the surface, but it kind of doesn't. But the mindset, I think, does. Right? Yeah.
Definitely. My dad actually really wanted me to go to engineering school because I was really good in mathematics, and I just fought him. Finally ended up majoring in economics and environmental stuff. So not much for this one for me. I'm just doing stuff like that.
A lot of math.
Right.
A lot of math.
Right.
All right.
So do you have a dream car? Ronnie asks, and he's from Denmark. Welcome.
Okay. I got this question. It was a question in one of the videos. I think somebody left the same question, and they said kind of two things. If you had all the money in the world, what would you get? And if you had to work with a reasonable budget and you wanted to add something to the garage, what would you add? So I'll answer that, and then I want you to answer it. Okay.
Okay.
So for me, the money, no object, whatever, would be one of two cars, Porsche 918 or a Carrera GT. I think those two cars are kind of the pinnacle of modern Porsche, and just amazing cars. The F8 Tributo would be kind of fun too, but I think the 918 and the Carrera GT. Now, as far as an obtainable or something we could actually put in the garage, I think I always mention it, 355.
Yeah, I think somebody actually
mentioned that. And so Ferrari 355 would be great. I think
that'd be another one that we might do as a project car at some point.
That would be great, actually.
Not making any promises for any time soon.
No, and I don't know where we'd find one, but but that 5-valve head is, the sound of those things is insane.
Right.
And Scott put together a video on how to do the belt service with the engine in the car. So it is possible.
Radarosa.
Yeah.
When she said
Scott from Radarosa did that.
Radarosa.
And so definitely check that out. Oh, and 959. 959 would be another one. Although they're just,
so there's a bunch of these fantasy cars like the Ferrari, Californias, not the newer Ferrari Californias, but
you may have to. So what would yours be?
As far as crazy pie in the sky.
Yeah. Would you go prancing horse? You would. I bet you would.
Yeah, probably.
What would you want?
I think that I don't know.
Well, you're not Ferrari, but you'd be more like the.
Oh,
okay, so that's it. Yeah,
I keep asking.
Heidi
I
was your
said,
favorite.
"Can we do a 288 or
288
like do
GTO,
a
yeah.
like do a replica or something like that?" But no, Franny's gonna crack up because the other thing that I just have nostalgia about is something like my parents used to have a Volkswagen microbus or bus.
So that's something we could put in the garage.
Yeah, but you said they're so unobtainable now. Even
they're pretty expensive.
So like you know, I mean, obviously the split window ones are really cool, but we had a slightly newer one. We had one from I think 1969, but I always thought that would be kind of a little romp. But once again, that's one of those things that you have to have a spot for. You don't want to leave it sitting out.
So a bus would be great. I totally
like a little bus. See, I mean, it's just silly stuff.
No.
But
you gotta have fun with it. If it's not fun, then it's just
so Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Maybe do something crazy to the. I mean, a lot of people have modded the engines for because ours was super slow. I remember literally going like 5 miles an hour uphill in Las Vegas.
People put Porsche engines in them.
Right.
It was pretty cool.
So that would be what we would do.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay. So we have somebody saying hello from Poland and Mousetrap, hello. CT Cars from the UK. Takayaki, it doesn't say where he's from. What would be your recommendations to refresh the turbine to get it as a new one?
Oh, the turbine. So maybe that's about adding turbos to the 996, getting bigger turbos. Now, so our 996 is an X50, that's the option code, that has the bigger turbos and the bigger intercoolers from Porsche, from factory. So really just a mild tune on that car will put it well north of 500 horsepower. So that'd be a pony on that thing, I think. That would be pretty crazy. It's also a manual, which honestly, if you want a fast car, you really kind of want it to shift for you, because that thing redlines first gear on the rev limiter in less than a second. It's so fast. So getting out of first into second, and then getting the turbo spooled back up again, and then getting into each one of the gears is actually a little bit slower than if a transmission they didn't have PDKs back then, but if an automatic transmission can keep the engine going and shift the gears for you, they're actually faster. So the automatic transmissions on your 996 was. Yeah. So I don't know. Putting more power in it's not going to make it any faster, I guess is my point. So you're just going to eat rubber more. But it's
chew through tires.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty. It's 450 horsepower, 450 pound-feet of torque. It's no slouch.
No.
It does pretty well. So and I think on that, go ahead and read through some more and see if we got some questions.
So Jonathan Magnus asks, how come you came up with the name Ava? For that.
Why don't you answer that?
Yeah, that was more of a Heidi thing. And at the time, so the 356 had been in our family, since 1962, and everybody always called it the Porsche. They didn't say the Porsche, they said the Porsche. And I just got tired of hearing that in general. I just got tired of hearing it being referred to as a car that is a little more special than that. Everybody was making a big deal of how special it was. And so I was like, well, this car has never had a name. And I was thinking more on the lines of, and Franny put it so well. Let's see, she smokes a little.
Yeah, she drinks a little. She gets crazy. She goes out to these parties. She gets all dolled up. Everyone's around her all the time. So we're thinking,
she's exotic. I mean, kind of exotic. Foreign car from the 50s. Oh, we just gotta.
Oh, thank you so much. Yay.
From sorry.
Whoops.
Anyway, so back to the finishing that story. So I thought, because the car was foreign, I was thinking who would be a 1950s movie star that was foreign, at least a U.S. actress, that kind of fit that. And I came up with Ava Gabor. So, and then you also said Ava Gardner and some other names like that. So it's not Eva, it's Ava. And it's not Ava, but that's how we came up with it.
So that's where it came from, huh?
Right.
So, and she's always been Ava to us, and she has her license plate that says Miss Ava.
Right.
And she's just kind of that way. She's regal. She's the beginning of her line. She's the grandmother of the whole thing, and she's the one who sets the tone. And then 993 right here behind us, I think was the next car in the line that actually really pulls from that same vibe as the 356, certainly the Cabriolet.
Right.
I think.
So we just got a pledge from here's 666 in Canada. Keep the evil out of your idol issues for the future from Toys Are for Boys. Not necessarily.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so that was funny. So I had the multimeter, and I think I had it on hold or something. So I hooked it up, and I was like, what is going on with this thing? It was driving me crazy, and it said 666. And I was looking at it as I was going through the footage, and I thought that was, I was like, that's so apropos.
That was funny.
It's so funny.
Right. So sorry, I had to get back to our questions.
Okay.
So we have lots of people from Europe right now, which is really great. We never know when to do, we've already passed some of these?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we've already done several of these. Sorry, we're a little bit behind getting through the questions and things, but.
Right. Have you ever considered a visit to the Porsche Museum in Germany? Yeah, if we could ever get back to Germany. I think Americans are banned from it right now.
Yeah, we're bad. So
I really actually have a bunch of family that I want to go visit, and some of my extended relatives are getting pretty old, and so I definitely want to try to get to Germany. I don't know if it will be this fall, but more than likely it'll probably be next summer, 2022, unfortunately. I would have liked to have gone last summer.
Yeah,
but,
well, that's just how life goes sometimes.
Right,
I think we'll live, hopefully. That's the idea.
Right. Okay, sorry, there's some that we've seen, and then I'm sorry, a lot of you guys have said hello, and it's awesome that you guys are with us. Right. We have Ireland in here, and somebody said something about SEMA. That we should go. Yeah, definitely we should go.
Yeah, we'll totally want to do SEMA. That'd be great.
Right. Definitely.
So that'd be fun.
Right. Somebody said thanks for the shout out to Pat's Garage and to Tedward. And I think a few of you know that we also watch some sailing channels, and that's what Ryan and Sophie are on right now. And we just really enjoy supporting other content creators out there. So Franny has a passion for sailing.
I do.
At some point
I do.
We're
so
get
this
a boat.
Here, real quick, like a bunny.
Right.
See that little guy sitting up there?
Right.
That's my sunfish. So that's from I think it's a 70.
Right.
It's like mid 70s or something, that boat. And it's a little Lateen rig, little lake boat is really what it is. But I grew up sailing those in Florida, and I love sailing. I love the water.
Right.
So watching the sailing channels is just, in some ways, just reinvigorates my soul. And there's so many good ones out there. If you're interested in sailing, there are so many good sailing channels. And I really think of all the genres out there, I think they're the best at storytelling and adventure, more so than the travel channels.
Sort of give you a vibe too. A lot of times they'll, focus on, what's going on around them, and you feel like you're traveling with them.
You really do.
I mean, Ryan and Sophie did a big long crossing. I think it was just a little over a year ago, and we were on their journey the entire time across the ocean with them. So
across the Atlantic. Yeah. Big deal. And watching people do this, and then they document it and they film it and they take the time to turn it into something interesting and put it out for us to watch. And my hat goes off to all the
and it's nice
there,
to travel vicariously through them if we can't always leave, and especially during COVID. I feel so bad for a lot of the sailing channels, because literally when countries were going into lockdown. They couldn't leave their boats. You know, we follow a couple of channels, and it just sounded.
And Gone with the Winds. Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
so,
right. Gone with the Winds.
Funny, if you do watch Gone with the Winds, I think we mentioned this last time, that Jason, Nikki and Jason, they called me when I was in the middle of filming.
Right.
And Jason just wanted to get the outboard motor up and running on their boat.
It was a very big
for their
compliment to hear from them.
And yeah, so
Ted, we're hitting in here right now, mentioning that he's thankful about the 3.2. So,
yeah.
You know, it's such a compliment.
So yeah, Jason calls from Tonga. They called us, and then they did a quick little cameo for us on their video and stuff. So it's really fun, and I love that interaction. Tedward being on here is awesome.
Tedward says that he's thankful we own a 3.2, and we'll reference the video someday when his has issues. Well, I hope you don't have
I hope
issues.
you don't have any issues, but
yeah.
But
right.
yeah, so it's so wonderful to talk to everybody and to talk to the other creators and Pat as well. And it's just been
right.
It makes for a wonderful community. And YouTube, you might think on the surface that it's very competitive. That's like, oh, I'm doing this thing and I don't want anyone else to be, and muscling in on my territory. But it's not like that. It's more that a high tide floats all boats, and so I think that's I think it's a much more cooperative environment than it would kind of seem like it would on the surface. So we got another.
Wait a minute! Somebody says hello from the International Space Station.
That would be awesome. We got a super chat.
Oh, we did.
Yes.
From Evan.
Evan, thank you so much.
Continue to produce content on the channel. Oh, there was a question. Sorry, not to go to the bottom.
We can click. There it is. Take a bit.
Talk a bit.
Talk about your channel growth and goals for this year. Sure. So we've kind of gone over the schedule of some of the things we want to do with the cars and things. As far as working from getting done with the 3.2 Carrera, moving on to the Ferrari, and then hitting some of the other cars. I want to get into a little more of the diagnosis stuff that was showing you before with a little Pico guy here, a little scanner. And just learning more about the cars is kind of my goal. Beefing up my tools a little bit, beefing up my knowledge. Because it's one thing to sort of rip parts out of a car and put stuff back into a car, but I kind of want to understand a little more about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So that's one of my goals. The garage itself really doesn't need too much work, I don't think. So we're going to put in a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
And we don't have any plans immediately for any new cars.
No, once again, the issue is we have so much work on the existing cars that needs to get done. We've got a lot of parts that we've already ordered where I want to get them in. Like we actually have the spoiler for the turbo and things like that. So I kind of want to get those projects finished. I don't see us buying a car at least until next year.
Probably,
if anything. I mean, we are getting to that point though. I mean, we'll catch up on all the stuff, and we will need to figure out what car's next. We've even toyed with the idea of a Saab or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So we're hoping to grow the channel a bit more, obviously,
right.
And
we always want to grow.
Yeah,
I've never heard any people not want to grow their channel, but it's I don't know. It grows sometimes, and then it does another. So sometimes we thought that the i8 would really change the attract more people, and it we just never know. You never know what projects are going to do well. And then other creators can do a project on the same car that you're working on and do much better or much worse, and it's so hard to tell. It's just so hard to tell. Right.
So strategy wise, we do talk about that all the time.
We do try to have strategies.
Yeah, but
whether they work or not. Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
At any rate, yeah. So,
I mean, ideally, if we could get Franny up to, I don't know, it's hard to say if she could go full time at some point. Yeah,
maybe, but the channel's got to be a bit more, a bit more involved at that point. But
right.
We'll get there. So, any rate. All right.
Yep. Okay, so there are a bunch more questions coming through now. So I have to go to the top, back up here. So isn't car quality the greatest scam ever?
A car that doesn't break, is it really not possible to build a car that breaks down, compare with tractors built for the 80s that never fail? Okay, so this is an interesting topic. Talk about it for a little bit. I know that Jason at Engineering Explained did a video on that too. Why, if a Mercedes costs so much money, why do they have problems? Why do they ever break?
Right.
Well, when you're paying for a car, most people think that you're paying for reliability and quality, but you might be paying for performance. You might be paying for looks. You might be paying for specifically for a ride, a certain type of ride in the car, like a Bentley or something has that super, super soft, glidey ride. There aren't really that many cars that are built specifically to go forever. And it kind of makes sense because they can't sell that car again. And if they sell it once and you never have to buy another car, then that doesn't work so well for the industry. So there's really not a huge incentive for car companies to do that. But then again, nobody wants to buy a car or from a car company where their cars are always falling apart in their crap. So there's this fine line. And then there's, like I said, there's other things, the styling, the performance, and all the other things that they have to spend money on. So a Porsche, you look at the new GT3 that just came out, for instance. I mean, that thing is a monster, right? It just eats up the Nürburgring, right? You are paying a huge amount of money for a ginormous amount of performance. They're crazy how fast they are and how they go around, and their suspension and the transmission and the engine, and it's just really something. So you're paying a lot for that. Well, what about reliability?
You really need to get into car reviews too.
But what about reliability? How reliable is the car? Well, I don't know, because you're not really paying for that. But it's not going to sell well if they're constantly got big problems. Like they did several years back. They had, I think it was the bottom of the rod cap on the bottom had a bolt that broke or something on it, and the things would come loose, and they had a few that caught on fire. That's kind of bad. So that's a thing. Look at Tesla, for instance. The last thing they want is their batteries to catch on fire. So it depends a lot on what you're paying for and what you want out of a car. The most reliable car in the world is going to be probably the most boring. It's going to be, it's not going to have much performance at all. It'll be probably fairly safe. But
Toyota Camrys used to be that way.
Yeah, but they're not even so much that as it would be.
Or Honda Accords back in the 90s.
Yeah, I know it's hard to say.
Now I think more, a lot of them are a lot more reliable now. There's a lot of really good cars out there. Daily driver types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there's a trade-off with the cars from the manufacturer, from what they're delivering and what they're building. So you'll see that Teslas, for instance, those cars, they have a very simple drivetrain, but an incredibly complex power source. Their battery, yes?
Well, so Tesla, do you think that they built their cars to last or to only last for 7 years?
No, I think Tesla, from Elon Musk's philosophy, I think he'd rather the cars lasted quite a while. I think that it's I think it's just extremely difficult to build a car that goes together, has perfect panel gaps, no paint problems on it whatsoever, that the interior is amazing, that, blah, 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 blah. And I think that Tesla is trying their darndest to produce the perfect car. I think they really, in their mind, what their vision for the perfect car is, I think that's really what they're trying to do. But they've got to manufacture it. They've got to get it out the door. They can't sit there and spend, enormous amounts of time on these poor cars that there's little problems here and there. And honestly, the people who are buying those cars don't seem to care too much about panel gaps and little paint imperfections and stuff. That's kind of the rest of us, I think, that are used to the larger manufacturers, you know, where we look at that and we turn our nose up at it. But they're a new manufacturer, and they're building a completely different technology.
Not anymore.
Well, it's still a new technology relatively.
Right.
And it's it's interesting. It's a difficult play back and forth for the car companies, I think.
Right.
So I don't know. Those are my that's my thought on all that.
We have some more questions.
Yes.
Fish Sticks asks, did we watch the video of our neighbors in a TFL Now car or TFL car, TFL Now?
The horror story of buying an i8? I didn't know they bought an i8.
I had no idea.
No, I haven't.
They are friends of ours. So yeah, we haven't caught up with them in a
No,
while.
I have to check that out.
Yeah,
so,
well, we did not know about that. I mean,
no.
There's some other people that have had, but yeah.
So there's been a lot of, let me talk about the i8 really quick like a bunny. And this goes back to Sam's video, and of course Pat's super familiar with all this. There are some people who have had pretty reasonable problems with their i8, but then I got a ton of comments from people all over the world that have been driving their cars, their i8s quite a bit, and not had a lick of problem with them at all. So the i8 is an interesting car because it's really just a showcase of technology for BMW. They don't even build it anymore. They don't build that carbon fiber tub anymore. That powertrain is completely different now. It was really just a show car for them to see if they could put all this technology into one car. So you kind of know that going into it. You're like, yeah, it's a lot of bits that have to talk to each other and be happy about talking with each other.
I still love it.
And it's, because it's so interesting and so unique. And I honestly still feel that, you know,
Franny wants another, instead of maybe not instead of the i8, but in addition to the i8, she wants the new Porsche.
Which one?
Taycan.
Oh, yeah, Taycan would be fun too. But
my turbo or something will have to go away if we get that.
But I think with BMW does this every once in a while, and they build these sort of outlier, like there's the Z1 and the Z8 were pretty interesting cars.
Right.
And the Z8's actually a very expensive car now. I don't know, over $200,000 now. Right. So they've doubled in price. The i8 has dropped dramatically from its initial sales point, but it's not that old. And I honestly believe that give this car another 15 or 20 years, and I bet you it will go back up in value. I really think it will. I'm pretty certain we won't have ours then. But it's an interesting car. So I bet people have had some real problems with it, but it's easy to pick on. It's an easy car to pick on, I think.
We have some stuff. Okay, so I can still read a little bit of Spanish. Somebody says, hello, ladies. Good afternoon. Hello from Mexico, and that you have a marvelous program. Very nice. Thank you, Arturo.
Yeah. No, and nice translating there.
Well, my Spanish is pretty bad, but anyway,
France. That's
we have France, and then we have a few people from Brazil.
Yep.
So, what do you think about small Italian cars like the Lancia?
Oh, those are awesome.
I have a Lancia, and it has some problems, and no one knows how to deal with them.
Well, so that's the problem.
Yeah,
I think
smaller cars. It is. We've talked about some like the bug-eyed Sprite, which I always thought would be really a fun little car.
Not super Italian, but yeah.
No. I'm just saying these sort of cars that
They're pretty adorable.
Yeah.
The problem is always just getting parts, and are the parts that are on the car?
Are they still available?
Yeah. They can you I don't know. Can you swap something else out? Because you may not be able to find the parts. Could you make your own parts for it? I don't know.
And that swapping out or finding another manufacturer that actually there's some parts that are interchangeable between like the German manufacturers. There's like Mercedes things that'll work. And,
sure. Yep.
And even in the Ferrari, the fuses for our Ferrari are also in.
Well, yeah. So the 308 speaks Italian with a pretty strong German accent.
Right. Yeah.
Fuel injection, all German. Electrics, except for the ignition computers, are all pretty much German as well. So
back to that. Back to that question though, if there's you know, it's all about blogs and research and talking to other owners that have that same car. You know, where do you, I think that's a starting point, is just join a car club and find out where people are sourcing their parts. That's one of the big things. Car clubs are super helpful for that.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's see. So
somebody said go Gators here somewhere.
Oh, go Gators.
What Franny talking about? Yep, Franny is definitely a Gator.
Sam Crack's also a big Gators fan.
Yeah. Right. There's somebody that watches the Gone with the Winds.
Will you fly one of your control line planes for us? Saw them in your house tour. Yeah. So who was that? It was just a tad. Charles. It was Charles Hill. So I would like to get out and fly the airplanes again. I think the weather's been nuts because of the La Nina, which brings for us a huge amount of wind. And it doesn't bring so much super cold
wind no matter what.
But it's been bad. I mean, all last year.
Wind's blowing right now.
So it's going to blow up past 50 or 60 miles per hour tonight and this afternoon.
And you guys have seen the video when we were getting the engine back in the car. That is quite common here. Those kind of crazy winds.
But I do need to get the airplanes back out. They're all hanging in my office, as you saw in the video, and oh my gosh, I'd love to get them out. It's to me, flying those things, and all my airplanes are electric, and so they're very quiet. And going out, I remember when we went out to test flight one of the airplanes, I think it was the big Valkyrie, and there were just a couple of people at the field. It was getting close to dusk. It was warm. It was in the summer. It was just a almost dead calm. And 3 or 4 little prairie dogs came out, and they stood like about 5 or 6 feet from me, and they watched as I flew, and they just sat there and they would go wee, wee, and they make these cute little noises and stuff. And for me,
that's the all clear, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just they were just hanging out watching what was going on. And for me, it's that Zen thing of being out, having some little activity that you're doing, but being outside and having a great time. And just, I love airplanes because they look like they're breaking the laws of physics. And oh my gosh, yeah. Well, so I do need to get back.
I'm seeing a lot of people from the UK that are on. They said it's not in the middle of the night. It's nice to see that. We actually, are seeing a lot more subscribers during the day on the weekend, which surprises me. And so I'm not that you guys, I just have not seen, like, I guess 1 or 2 people will be on in Europe, and I don't hear from you guys. So this is great to see you on. We will take note that having a live stream earlier in the day might be more helpful. So we have people that are, in other countries, like in China and Japan. They just can't make it.
Well, tell us what you think about the time as well. Did this work for you, or you're like, it kind of messed up my morning, or it messed up my evening, or let us know what you think.
Normally we would, hopefully, at least we, as in the singular we, Franny, would be, filming an episode right now. And
that's what I would normally be doing, but windy. It's 30 degrees out, or less than that. It's like 20.
And I'm getting cold out here already. And we've had
with the heat off.
You turned it off because it'll be going on.
Because it makes a ton of noise.
It'd be really loud. Right.
But so it's getting a little cool.
Right. Yeah. So I think somebody's running a Cybertruck.
I should get a Mercedes SL 550 for
$19,000.
Should you get one for $20,000? Wow, that's I don't know much about the Mercedes. I'd love to say I do.
We were looking at the what was it? The 180.
Oh yeah, the 180. Yeah, but that was from back.
That was when they
That's
were affordable.
Classic.
They're not anymore.
But, I don't know. Gosh, I would say do your research. I think some of the Mercedes along that line had some pretty obvious problems with them.
Right.
I think there's a reason why they're $19,000, to be honest. But I can't really speak too much about it. So, but do your research and find other folks. Look for some videos and stuff to see if people are rebuilding those cars a little bit, and see if I don't know. I don't know. I wish I knew more about them. Mercedes are cool, but I've never owned one before.
So Fish Sticks, the saga of the I said that Something about a cashier's check for $63,000 and they didn't get the car.
Oh,
yikes! Okay, I'm gonna have to watch those.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. So it wasn't a problem with the car per se.
Oh, Rocket John is on.
Oh yeah, hey John.
So we were just talking about Saabs.
Yep. So John, Rocket John is the owner of the Saab 900. The Saab
that we did the review on.
Yeah.
Review on.
And so
yeah,
so you get to see John there. He also helped us film the house tour video as well.
He did.
So,
he was there for that.
So
yeah, right. So and Ryan and Sophie, I don't know if you're still on, but I'm hoping at some point you guys can make it to the U.S. and that we finally can have a chance to connect with you guys.
Oh, God, that'd be great.
We have a million questions to ask you about sailing.
No, we do.
Right.
We'll take that offline and we'll get in touch with you about some stuff too. So, but yeah, thanks so much for checking in now. That's just so that's always great. Because they're Ryan and Sophie are in Curacao right now. So just
doing what Franny would like to be doing, which is snorkeling with the turtles.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Right. So it looks like we're running out of questions, and I'm actually really starting to get kind of cold.
Are you getting a little cold?
Yeah.
So we want to do the final call here.
Final call in the last few minutes. I think we're going to wrap it up. We don't want to put everybody to sleep in the middle of the day or at night.
These live streams can go on forever. So this one's been on almost an hour and a half.
Right, so it has
been going for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So
but we really appreciate all of you guys showing up. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been great. So as always, let us know in the comments and stuff if there's stuff you'd like to see, because we do pull stuff. Oh, somebody's asking about the ceiling height in the garage. Yep. Some that I saw that come through. Or we're at 11 something.
11 feet or
11.
It's pretty high.
About 11 and a half feet, almost 12 feet. So
that definitely helps with the lifts. I mean, there's been several people that have wanted lifts, and they have a ceiling that's 8 feet or something, and
9 feet or something. It's a little low. In those cases, though, you can get a scissor lift. Pat has one. Pat's garage, he has one, and they're really cool. They kind of lift the car up to waist height or so. Also really good for getting the wheels off the ground. So that's another option. Max Jack makes a 2-post lift that's pretty short, and it doesn't go up very high either, but it is a full 2-post lift, and you can unbolt it from your floor and move it. So those are pretty cool.
Right.
We did, in order to get a little more room up top, we changed our garage doors so that they go up and really skim the ceiling really carefully or really closely. And we have jack pole lifts, which actually turn the pole of where the spring is and the pulley and stuff, instead of trying to pull the garage door up. And I love those jack pole lifts. They're great, but they mount on the wall, not on the ceiling. So our garage doors get awfully close to the ceiling, actually. Right. They're just maybe about, 6 or 8 inches down from the top, right?
Yeah.
I can make sure with that ceiling fan I don't hit it.
So there's a couple more questions. Dub World, you asked some questions up above. YouTube blocked it. I think you have a channel or something. Feel free to reach out to us on our website, and if you have questions about YouTube
and about that
stuff.
So we keep getting emails. We get a bunch of emails and we get a bunch of comments, and we've gotten a lot more lately, and I try to look at every single comment, but we've also gotten a bunch of emails. I am a little bit behind, so if you have sent us an email and
you're behind
a little bit, because there's just a ton of them.
And sometimes it's like takes her all night to go through and answer comments and emails. But we definitely, the best thing, especially if you don't want to have a big long comment. We love comments. Comments actually help grow our channel.
And they're really good for the channel.
And they, so if you want to give us a comment, please feel free, thumbs up as well. But if you really want to have a conversation, then I would refer you to our website and, to contact us or something, and that way Franny can answer you. And she's good about keeping up. She says that she's behind, but
somebody asked, where would we live if we were not in Colorado? Michael, Snook said that. Well, I think the Q is in his last name.
What?
Snook.
Snook.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're
Franny's
probably
from
somewhere
Florida,
warmer.
and my guess is that when we do finally decide to retire,
Leave Colorado
from our regular day jobs, we will
end up somewhere warmer. If
right.
Florida's a good
we
good
both
place
like
to start.
we both like the coast, and
I've got family there.
yeah.
So,
and Franny's been talking about boats a lot lately. So
well, a snook is a game fish, and so we used to catch them growing up, and they're really good eating, but they're regulated, carefully regulated. You can't buy them in the store. So they're
she talks about a lot. I've never had them. So,
they're cool.
Yeah, there was one other question though.
What was
before
it?
you go, what is your experience? Beth leather seat. Leather.
What's that?
We'll answer that question. Somebody wants to know what the Beth's leather seat treatment. So we actually used to use one that is no longer produced anymore from our boy at Prima, and he just the shelf life on it just. So unfortunately, we're in the process of looking, and we did get a referral from the guy that actually restored our car seats, and I just saw a photo of it, and unfortunately, I don't remember the name of it, and so within the next 3 to 5 videos, we're going to be doing something on the interior of the car, and we'll probably talk about that, and then Franny will be doing a detailing video with the 911 once everything is done. So
already 308 on Miami Beach, so 80s. Yeah,
right.
that'd be fun, or even better on Hawaii.
All right, guys. I think I think will we consider selling our Turbo X50?
Well, 996 values.
I think we're gonna sell it. I definitely do. I think we'll probably sell it within the next 1 to 2 years.
You think so? That's your call. It's your car.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're gonna end up getting a Taycan at some point. Right, so we'll have the i8 and Taycan, and we gotta make room. We don't hang on to. I don't know. I love that car, so it's really hard. But yeah, probably within the next 2
I'm gonna have to get a little better at YouTube. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We'll probably sell it.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, they had the 4S. That's just coming out now. So there's the Turbo, then the Turbo S, but now the 4S.
Every Porsche that we've ever sold, we've regretted, though. That's the only thing about selling.
Well, it's a pretty special car,
Turbo.
too. So that'll take a little bit of time to think about. But yeah, it's a great car. Not great. It doesn't have a lot of mileage on it at all. It's. I think we worked out pretty much all the bugs in it. The car hates being water cooled. Those Metzger engines just so want to be air cooled. But I think we got the cooling system sorted on it. It's been great. You haven't any problems with it at all. It's just been reliable. So we just do oil changes on it, and it needs a new front splitter, but those happen. That's a sacrificial part.
Right. Stay tuned if you're interested in any of those cars, because if we do relocate to Florida, we're probably not going to take all of our cars.
Right. And we will have some parts left over from the 3.2 Carrera build. So we've got
the seats for one.
Stuff that we got from Chad.
We have some carpet and stuff too.
Yeah, some other stuff that we probably won't.
I'll probably put a post on the community page about that, and have people contact me on the website. And if I don't get any, we'll see. If we get too many, we'll figure it out. But
yeah, just let us know if you're interested in stuff like that. Just let us know, because we definitely need to get that stuff out of. It's sitting in the guest bedroom right now.
Yeah, we can't have guests.
So
it doesn't matter right now because of COVID. Nobody comes to visit anyway. But yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, I think it's been an hour and a half, and probably should think about wrapping it up.
And if I missed any of your comments, I think these comments will end up on this video as well, and and I'm pretty certain they convert them now, so I'll go back through them and take a look at them as well.
But if you don't hear from her,
and if you don't, then ask me a question again, because I really do like to answer
actually questions. Feel free to ask it. They will save the comments once it produces the video. And
Pat said really enjoys listening while cleaning his garage. Yay! Thanks so much, Pat. yeah. I hope it's warming up a little bit for you guys out there too.
I heard it was snowy there.
Yeah, Pat's back east.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
All right. Well, you think that's about it?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well,
really appreciate all you guys joining
yeah.
us. It was really nice.
Thanks so much for watching.
Right. Right.
And also comment down below if you like these live streams and stuff too. Let us know.
We can do them more often. We actually just started doing the phone because it's easier
it's
and
working. It's easier. It's just easier to deal with.
Yeah,
but,
we'll definitely can. We always say that. We say we're gonna do them and.
Yeah, I don't like doing them in lieu of an actual episode. I just not a big.
She actually has an episode pretty much wrapped up right now.
Yeah, I do. So I am working on something right now. It's really just a compilation of the engine.
It's really cool.
Yeah, the engine coming out, getting gussied up,
like
and put back
the
in
one
again.
that you did with the manifold. It's just similar.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So we'll get that, and so yeah, and then we got to get the car to the shop, and I've got this other stuff. We'll get it all done. So it's gonna be great, But
yeah, Ferrari's right around the corner, and we will be doing the 356 stuff in addition to that.
Yeah, Ferrari stuff's pretty cool, so I think that's going to be great. When will the next live stream be?
Yeah.
Great question.
We
we really should do this maybe once a month. I think we should.
Yeah.
We can set up on a Sunday and do it once a month. What do you think?
Sure.
I think we should. We'll try to start doing them a little more often. You
could do another one this evening for all the people that were asleep right now.
Well, that might be a bit much. Right. But it was such a kerfuffle before, and actually using the phone makes it so much easier and so much less stressful. Oh my God, we
actually had to advise that to a much better known YouTuber, and I'm not mentioning names, about doing a live stream, and said, have your phone available.
With the initials of Nick? Possibly Nick Murray. Yeah. So Nick was funny. He set up all this stuff. He's fine. So he set up all this stuff, and he asked me about software and this and that, and he got it all set up, and he was like, no, I think I'm pretty set. Everything's great. And then it went to go live, and the whole thing fell apart.
But he had his phone.
I'm like, make sure you have your phone, and make sure your phone's charged and ready to rock and roll. And
ours is plugged in right now, so
we got ours plugged in, so that way we don't have any problems. But
Nick sometimes joins us on these. He didn't join us today.
He didn't. He's out with Tui and Smudge, I'm sure.
Yeah,
doing crazy stuff. So
all right, guys. Well, you guys have a great rest of your Sunday, and
yes. Have a great week.
Right.
And we'll get some stuff out soon, and we got so much great stuff coming up. It's gonna be awesome.
Great seeing you guys too. I know I haven't been on camera at all lately.
Yeah.
So busy working on that other channel of ours.
Well, that Heidi works on her kitty channel,
right.
But she also handles all the finances and all the paperwork and all the other crap,
and the phone
in the background,
calls and the parts.
Right, and so she does all that work in the back end.
Taxes just got done.
Yeah, so it's
right.
It's just a huge
lot of behind the scenes stuff. So sorry to not be on camera, but
Tomahiko Yaman, it's just fading off. Said hi, hello.
Lots of
Yep. So how you listening?
Massive taxes, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I just like to get them out of the way.
Yeah, Heidi keeps the lights on, so it's always a very important thing, and I always want to make sure that that we all appreciate all the hard work you do, all that stuff. Not just me, but
yeah, I can do a car review here one of these days once the COVID thing is passed, and feel good about that.
Hooray for the kitty channel.
All right, thank you guys. Yep, Ozzy and Zeke appreciate it when you guys go, and there's a couple of regular subscribers that check out that channel.
Yeah.
So.
They're cute little kitties.
New episode tonight. Okay, guys.
Have a great rest of your day or evening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yep.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I think it's actually
yes. I think I have to do this.
Go for a doodle.